Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to another Vintage Cube Draft. It's finally returned. Time to make people sad. Pack one, pick one, Thalia. Let's go. Love me some Vintage Cube. Super happy that it's coming back. Wow, okay. Stoneforge Mystic or Swords. I think Stoneforge is probably better for our deck. I wish I didn't have to pick between those two, but an early Stoneforge Mystic is also potentially very powerful because it means any equipment we see is going to be good. I also think they put Cauldra in this format, which definitely powered up Stoneforge if they did. So, also with Vintage Cube being released, I'm probably going to take a break from Adventures in the Forgotten Realms drafts. Modern Horizons 2 drafts actually came back, which I thought was kind of interesting. That they did so far. I think they're trying to drop the prices of some of the cards, considering how present they are in the meta. I think this is the fastest turnaround they've had on a set like that. So we have a couple of options here. We can take Armageddon, Lightning Helix, Tide Hollow Sculler, or Unholy Heat, depending on what deck we actually want to be playing. Armageddon probably has the highest upside. Red-White is definitely the most aggressive deck, probably the fastest deck. Armageddon's probably the safest pick. I don't know how easy it's going to be to turn on Delirium in Red-White, even in Vintage Cube. And Tide Hollow Sculler generally comes around because it only plays in one specific deck, so I'm going to take Armageddon, and we'll see what we get. That can inform our decision on the next go-around. So in this pack we have Opposition Agent, which is effectively a tax card because we can limit our opponent from cracking their fetch lands, which can be very powerful when you're playing Thalia. So I am going to take this card over Ravages of War. Putrid Imp is more for Reanimator than it is for any sort of aggressive deck. Tasigur, you're playing probably like a mid-range deck. And Dragon's Rage Channeler, while it is very aggressive, I think Opposition Agent has a little bit higher utility. Okay, in this pack we've got Sword of Feast and Famine. We already have Stoneforge, which would make Sword very good. There's a Lingering Souls, which probably only goes in our deck, or minimal other decks. We could pick up like an Incinerate on the next go-around, or a Hero's Downfall, so take Sword. Alright, in this pack we've got Kitesail Freebooter. Kitesail Freebooter is very excellent, especially in our deck. Just taxing our opponent's hand is great, so we're going to take it. Okay, I don't think we're playing Wrath of God. We could play Mishra's Factory. Opposition Agent. I can take Flooded Strand. It is a white fetch land that if we can get a Plateau, we can splash red. If we can get a Scrub land, we can. It makes our mana way better. Hero of Blade holds some pretty great top end, though I don't think it's necessary in this style of deck. And I've never been a huge fan of Mishra's Factory in the like black-white aggressive deck, so I'm going to take Flooded Strand. Seasoned Hollowblade, this card actually really carries sometimes. I think it's better than Liliana. I kind of want to shy away from playing any double black spells whenever possible. Coercive Portal would not be bad in this deck, just basically a free Phyrexian arena for us, but take the Hollowblade. Condemn is definitely good versus aggressive decks, so I will take Condemn. Someone took Swords, that's pretty reasonable. Not a huge fan of Yawgmoth, but Una's Prowler is pretty bad in the aggressive archetype, so we're going to take this. I will take Unholy Heat. It is unlikely we go into red, so I'm going to put it in the sideboard. Dragon's Rage Channeler. Okay, maybe there's some chance we go into red, but we missed out on Lightning Helix and a few other red picks that were good. Just put a bunch of cards we're not playing into the sideboard. Probably not playing Yawgmoth, but I'll leave it at the bottom in the deck so I don't forget that it's there. Now, if I just start getting past like mono lightning bolts, I probably will play red, but I don't think that's what's going to happen here. I'm sad that we missed out on Swords, but I'm not surprised that somebody else took it. It's a good card. It's a really good card. All right. There's a lightning bolt. The question is it better for us than Solitude is? Oh, I think we take Solitude. Solitude has utility early, especially if our opponent's playing something like Tinker for Blightsteel. We can just exile it on their end step. And late game, we can just play it as a 5-mana 3/2 lifelink with Flash, which is really good, that also Swords to Plowshares. So I think we're going to take Solitude. I really don't think we're going into red, and it really hurts my heart that we had the opportunity to get so much good burn and we won't be doing it. I don't think we're playing white-blue. for Remand. I think we're going to be pretty well into white-black. Interesting that they put Power Word Kill in this format because there are a lot of big angels. I don't know that many of them see a lot of play, but there's angels and dragons, so I think this card's actually quite terrible. I'm going to take Sword of Fire and Ice because we have Stoneforge. So Marsh Flats in this pack is pretty great. Palace Jailer enters battlefield, you become the monarch. Exile target creature an opponent controls until an opponent becomes the monarch. That also seems good. Containment Priest tends to come around a lot. I'm going to take the fixing, because the more fixing we have and the freer it is, the better our deck is, and by a long shot. If we could get a Watery Grave, then Flooded Strand could fetch black as well as white, but Marsh Flats is definitely better, and on-color fetch I think is better. There's a Godless Shrine. I'd be missing out on Manitai, the Releon, and Relic Warder, one of which should come around. This lets Flooded Strand as well fetch black, and is definitely much better in this deck, so I'm going to take Godless Shrine. Okay, there's a Flicker Wisp, an Agadeem's Awakening, an Elspeth, and a Bone Shards. Bone Shards is actually kind of interesting as far as removal for our deck goes. I think Flicker Wisp is better in the average case, so I'm going to take it. Flickering some of our creatures could be pretty good. Rishadan Port, Unexpectedly Absent, Vryn Wingmare. All I think are good. Unexpectedly Absent is definitely some pretty high power removal, and we're not to the critical mass of creatures I like. An additional Thalia is good, but Vryn Wingmare is better when you have things like Mana Crypt or Soul Ring and you're playing stuff super fast. I think I would rather have Port in this deck, because Vryn Wingmare, not a lot of decks actually want to play this card, and it should come around. Unexpectedly Absent gets played a lot in the control decks, so I don't expect it to wheel. I'll take Port. Kasali Pride Mage, I could take Bayou and Splash, but I don't really like that. I guess I take Tithe Taker here. It's just an additional tax. I can play Probe in this deck. I don't think that's good, and Shambling Vent would be fine. Both for fixing and just to have a man land, but I'm going to take Tithe Taker. I think it's just better in our deck. Mentor would be good, but we have no way to power it out quickly. We have almost all white creatures, so Honor of the Pure is potentially very strong. I think I still take Mentor. Yeah, I think I still take Mentor, even though we don't really have a lot that we can abuse with it yet. I don't think I'd really play any of these cards. Probably would not play Recurring Nightmare. I'll put a Ponder in the sideboard, question mark. Linvala is a card we can play. Nobody is in green. Literally no one is in green. Seachrome Coast could help us splash something. Leon and Relic Warder came around, and I'm happy to take that, especially in Vintage Cube where there's a lot of high-power artifacts and some high-power enchantments. Just a bear that Oblivion rings those is pretty good. Agadeem's Awakening, technically we could play if we wanted to. A Mass Reanimation spell stapled to a land is not bad. It kind of depends on how many black sources we end up playing, whether or not it's actually worth it. Okay, Vryn Wingmare came around, as did Murderous Rider. I think Wingmare is going to be a little bit better in our deck. And Pride Mage we'll put in the sideboard. We could end up splashing green for it, but it's not super likely. A little bit sad we can't take Time Twister here. There's not a lot in this pack we can actually go for, because we kind of made the decision to stay out of red. I could take Legion's Landing. That's probably the best card for us. Not sure what we could wheel out of this pack that would be good for us, but Landing we know is a good card. Helps us get started right away. Lyra Dawnbringer is a good creature, is definitely good versus aggro decks. I kind of want to take Lotus Petal, because any way that you can play turn 1 Thalia is good. It's definitely not as powerful as a Mox in this deck for sure, but it is free mana. The alternative is to take like Packrat or Bone Shredder. Packrat can win games by itself. Tundra, we're not really splashing blue, so we don't really need another fetchable duel. I think I'm going to take Packrat. We're going to play a relatively fair deck. Okay, Dark Confidant is an excellent pickup here, but it makes us have some deck building considerations. So is Mom, actually? Oh, gosh. I don't think I'd be splashing for Geist. I would definitely take these two cards, and even Bitter Blossom, I think, before Geist in this deck. Confidant or Mom? I think we gotta take Confidant, and hope to wheel Mom. She doesn't get played in a lot of different decks, like maybe Black-White or Red-White or Mono-White would be the only decks that play her. And I hope that nobody is in any of those, considering the cards that we've been getting. So I'm going to take Confidant and hope to wheel Mom. Thoughtseize is good. There's a Wasteland, which is also good, and a Chrome Mox, which is pretty good. This is a really, really tough pick. So I can take Chrome Mox because repeatable mana is very powerful. Some of our best cards are in the 2-drop slot. It can turn Vryn Wingmare into a Thalia because Vryn Wingmare can come down on turn 2. Really would like a Wasteland because any mana denial is free in this deck. But I think Chrome Mox has the highest power ceiling for us. Thoughtseize is definitely good, and I've had a lot of tough picks in this draft so far. But I'm going to go for the Mox, just because that effect I think is the hardest for us to come by. Collective Brutality would be good. Vampiric Tutor a little bit less so, but I'm going to take Scrubland. Just, like, the better our mana is, the easier time we're going to have. And we have enough playables that just fixing our mana is probably going to improve our deck rather than a potential sideboard card or anything like that. Batterskull. Gotta take the Batterskull. Sorry, Massacre Worm. Sorry, Bloodchief's Thirst. But we have a Stoneforge, so definitely taking the Batterskull. What is this card? 4 mana, 5/2 flash flying, enters the battlefield tapped. You can cast it from a graveyard if a creature not named it died this turn. That seems bad. I mean, there's Revelark, but we don't have any like crazy combo potential. And Revelark can't buy back Solitude, which is our easiest creature to get in the grave. We're not splashing any of these blue cards because they're just heavy too heavy blue investment, so I guess I'm taking this bad dragon. Don't take that out of context. So our options are Fatal Push, Kaya, and Gideon Blackblade. I think out of the Planeswalkers, I actually prefer Kaya, but Gideon is much better versus aggressive decks. I don't have like any removal, so maybe this is time to take Fatal Push. I'm going to take Fatal Push. Verdant Catacombs is a black fetch land. It can get Godless Shrine, and it can get Scrubland, so actually the fetch land is a little bit better for us, so I will take it. Bone Shredder is the only card in this pack we can reasonably play. I guess Mirari's Wake is there too, but we don't really need the mana. Bitter Blossom came around, and so did Revoker. Bitter Blossom I think is a little bit better because they wield the equipment a little bit better. Revoker's not bad, but Bitter Blossom I think is a higher power level card. Sword of Body and Mind wield, so we will be taking it. I guess we take Vampiric Tutor and put it in the sideboard. Massacre Worm can go on the sideboard. And our last force is Duretti, which we will not be playing. Okay, so let's group creatures separately and make some decisions. I don't think we're playing Agadeem's Awakening, Yawgmoth, or Ebondeath. I think all of those cards are pretty bad for us. We're definitely not playing Sea Chrome Coast, and the rest of these lands can go in this pile. Chrome Mox I'm going to count as like half a spell. Condemn, I think we only have 2 removal spells. Well, I guess we have Bone Shredder, so like 3.5. Monastery Mentor actually seems bad in this deck, which is saying something. We have like 3 spells that can actually trigger it. No, I guess it's any non-creature spell. So it might be worth running, even though we don't have that much that can enable it. Linvala. I'm going to cut Linvala. She's a 4 mana 3/4 flyer, which isn't bad, but I think we can do without. Honestly, this just might be the deck. I could cut one of the swords. Like, Feast and Famine is kind of the least useful, but I don't really have a reason to. I can run... I'm going to cut Feast and Famine, actually, because I want 16 lands and a Mox, the Chrome Mox. So this gives us 1, 6, 7, 8 black sources. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 white sources. Yeah, this seems good. I think we got a good deck. Alrighty, I will see you guys in round 1. Alright, we won the die roll, and this hand is almost amazing. A single land in this hand becomes probably one of the best hands we could possibly have. But we're on the play and have no way to guarantee a draw, so I think I've got to mulligan that. I'm pretty comfortable with this hand. I'm probably going to shock Godless Shrine on turn 2, and I think I'm putting back Lingering Souls. I want to get Thalia out as quickly as possible, and then follow it up with like Port. And I'm playing Swamp first, 1 to hold up Fatal Push, and 2 to play around a Wasteland. So, opponent untaps. They draw. They play Polluted Delta. They fetch, get a Swamp, and Thoughtseize. Well, that's unfortunate. If they take Thalia, we gotta play Pack Rat, and if they have removal for Pack Rat, we're really sad. But I'm very glad I did not keep my initial opener. That much I can say for certain. They take Pack Rat. That tells me they probably have removal for Thalia, but that doesn't stop us from playing her next turn. Neither does drawing Flicker Wisp. Play Thalia, pass the turn. Opponent plays an island. They pass. We untap. We draw Freebooter. Play Port. Go to combat. And attack for 2. Opponent takes 2, goes to 15. And I kind of just want to port my opponent on their upkeep. Port their island. This lets me leave up Fatal Push. Next turn, if I draw land, I can port and Freebooter. Opponent floats blue on their upkeep. Does nothing with the mana. Plays another island. And passes. We untap. We draw Tithe Taker. Go to combat. Attack for 2. And I think we've got to play Freebooter here. If my opponent keeps making land drops, the Freebooter is going to be more valuable to get down early. I'm not leaving up Fatal Push. I think I said I'm leaving up Fatal Push, but I'm not because it would get taxed by Thalia. This opponent's got Click, Hero's Downfall, Daze, Bribery. Take Hero's Downfall. So we know their hand. Pass the turn. So we've unlocked their hand enough for them to play Click or Woe Strider. We don't have many good creatures they could Bribery for, thankfully. So Bribery is kind of a dead card, especially with Thalia on board. Okay, opponent is playing Woe Strider, I think. Okay, they play Liliana. They're going to make us sack. So, unfortunately, I think we have to sack Freebooter and give them back Downfall. We're keeping Thalia, for as long as we can, anyway. Would really like to draw another land. There it is. Play the land. Go to combat. Kill Lily. Play Tithe Taker. Pass the turn. And we are going to port our opponent on their upkeep. If they want to Hero's Downfall, they have to spend all of their mana on their upkeep. That does unlock Daze if they do that, though. Actually, it doesn't, because we have Tithe Taker, so they won't be able to Daze on our turn. Okay, they float black mana, they let Port resolve, and now they have to make that decision of whether or not to kill Thalia. They could also just click. Okay, they are going to kill Thalia. They play an island. We untap. We draw Leonin Relic Warder, which is unfortunately not very good here. Go to combat. Attack for 2. Play Flicker Wisp, playing around Daze. Flicker Port, so Port re-enters the battlefield. Stop on our opponent's turn. Port an island. Opponent is just going to cast Click, I think. They're clicking us. They're leaving our hand alone. They play a swamp, so they can play a Woe Strider here. Okay. We untap. We draw Batter Skull, which we will not be playing anytime soon because we don't want to run it into Daze. Go to combat. We are going to attack with Tithe Taker. If they kill it, we can kill Click. They can't currently Daze, I guess. So if they get into another situation where they're tapped out, Fatal Push, Click. And they knew about Push. Dazing it doesn't do anything. Alright, pass the turn. Stop on our opponent's upkeep. Tap an island. Opponent draws. They're going to cast Bribery. Okay. Well, we've got a whole bunch of 2 and 3 drops they could take. Not sure what the best one is off the top of my head. If they have equipment in their own deck, taking Stoneforge would be great, like if they were playing Jitte. We can no longer run out Batter Skull if we draw a land, because our opponent is still holding Daze, and we've lost our tax effect on our turn. They're taking Solitude, hitting our flyer. Kind of forgot about Solitude, I'll be honest. And they pass. We untap. We draw Plains. Play Plains. Well, we're not blocking, so go to combat. Hit them for 1. Opponent takes 1. No reason to play out Relic Warder yet. I think we can get more value out of it. Tap a land. Opponent floats mana. Ancestral Recall. Yep, that's pretty good. It's a really good top deck. Opponent's deck is actually pretty crazy. They play Shelldock. Okay. So whatever they put under Shelldock, they can cast as soon as it untaps. Alright. They go to combat. They attack for 3. Well, I guess maybe I should have played out Relic Warder, because one thing I didn't think about is the fact that this is not a May. Oh, no, it is. It is a May. For some reason, I was thinking it wasn't a May, and I would have to exile my own Batter Skull if it was on board. We draw Marsh Flats. Go to combat. Attack for 1. Take our opponent to 12. Play Marsh Flats. Crack it. Get a Scrubland. Play Batterskull, past a Daze. Okay, Living Weapon, pass the turn. Opponent untaps. Frost Titan. That's pretty good. I don't think we have removal for that. That isn't Solitude. Opponent hits us for 3. They gain 3, we lose 3. Alright, I think this game is over. That Ancestral Recall was pretty clutch. I don't think we have any sideboard for this. Opponent didn't really seem to have any activated abilities. Sword of Feast and Famine wouldn't be bad, but also isn't necessary. Let's just run it back. Hopefully we get a turn 1 Thalia off a Chrome Mox, and then just like Thalia Stoneforge, Batterskull, and win. This seems slow. Maybe we can get him with Opposition Agent, though. So we'll try keeping. Interestingly enough, we cannot control our opponent if they bribery us, as far as searching libraries, because it says searching their library, not searching a library. Lead on Godless Shrine, pass the turn. I think Thalia is probably our best top deck. Opponent plays an island. Any 2-drop would really be good. Opponent Ancestral Recalls, alright. So they completely undo that mulligan they started with. Play a Swamp. Play a Legion's Landing. Playing around Daze. Make a Lifelinker, pass the turn. Opponent plays a Swamp and passes. We untap. Draw Leonin Relic Warder. Play a Scrubland, go to combat, and attack for 1. Okay. Opponent takes 1, we gain 1. Pass the turn. We're going to try and flash in Opposition Agent on their end step. If they do have a counter spell, they use it then. If they play and crack a fetch land, I will cast it in response. So, play Opposition Agent, because they cracked Polluted Delta. They probably have a Daze, or not. Get a, I guess, Swamp from them, because we can't, I don't think we can play it. You may play those cards. Oh, okay, so I actually just got a Swamp. Sick. 2 mana. Opponent Collective Brutalities to kill it. I guess we can just start setting up for an Armageddon. Play Flooded Strand. Crack Flooded Strand. Get a Plains. Play Vryn Wingmare. Go to combat. Attack for 1. I could have cast Armageddon there, but I've got a feeling my opponent is still going to make land drops here for a second. They play Woe Strider. Then pass. We untap. Draw Chrome Mox. Play Chrome Mox. Actually, do we go for anything else before we cast Armageddon? We could play Flicker Wisp and just get rid of the token. My concern is if I play Armageddon, I could be... No, I can't play into a Daze. It just might be difficult to Legion's Landing. So I'm going to play Chrome Mox, exile Relic Warder, play a Flicker Wisp, exile the Goat, go to combat, attack for 2 in the air. And we're going to go for the Armageddon next turn. This way we can flip Legion's Landing post-Armageddon, provided our opponent does not have a removal spell. If they do have a removal spell and they use it on Vryn Wingmare to unlock some of their mana... Okay, they play a Master of Death. And get to Surveil 2. They put Collective Brutality and Thoughtseize in the grave and play an island. Okay. Because they played a land, I'm actually going to play this Swamp pre-Armageddon. Port also makes that a little easier. We're doing this pre-combat because we want to attack with all 3 creatures, so we can flip Legion's Landing. And the game is over. Nice. Run it back. So Feast and Famine does provide protection from black, but the on-hit effect does not do that much versus my opponent's deck. No real taxing effects, but we have 3 mana. I think I am going to keep this. Hopefully I don't regret it. Opponent starts with Shelldock Isle. If I can get down this Hollow Blade, my opponent probably will have a tough time answering it. We draw Opposition Agent again. Play a Plains, pass the turn. This gives me the most options for what to play on turn 2. Like if my opponent was to play a Soul Ring or something, we could Relic Warder it. Opponent plays Polluted Delta long before we could Opposition Agent. Then passes. We draw Armageddon. Play a Swamp. We're going to run out Hollow Blade. If they don't have a counter, they're going to have a real tough time killing that. Alright, opponent untaps. Plays a land. Okay, Brutality does kill it no matter what I do, so that's fine. I'm glad they did not multi-mode Brutality. That could have been bad for us. We untap and draw Flooded Strand. So play Marsh Flats. Now we can play Tithe Taker. We could try and flash Opposition Agent. We could play Sword of Body and Mind. I think we wait on Sword until at least next turn. And if that's the case, maybe playing Tithe Taker is the play here. I'm going to try and flash Opposition Agent on their end step. That just seems like the number one thing they want to stop us from doing, and it gives us a better play next turn. Because it seems like if they are going to use removal or interaction, they're going to use it on Opposition Agent first. There's also the possibility they have another fetch land. They've seen our deck, so they must know that like either we are mana screwed currently, or I'm holding Opposition Agent. So like, because they've already briberied us once. Crack Marsh Flats. Get a scrub land. Opposition Agent. Okay, no counter. We untap. Draw Thalia. So play Flooded Strand. Play Tithe Taker. Go to combat. Attack for 3. Opponent no blocks. Hit them to 6. Okay, I'm going to go for a Thalia play here. They could daze it, and it does tax us casting our own Armageddon. But we have a lot of taxation effects that are stacking up now. Opponent plays a land. They could have Damnation, which would be really bad for us. 4 mana. Toxic Deluge. Okay. Well, that leaves us with a 1/1. If I draw a land, I'm going to try and play an Equip Sword. There it is. Play a land. Play Sword. Equip Sword. Go to combat. I could have Armageddon there, and that might have worked, but I would only have a 1/1, and we've used a lot of lands out of our deck, so it's not likely we would draw more. This does turn on Shelldock Isle for my opponent, so if my opponent has something like Emrakul underneath that, we're gonna lose. We milled a bunch of good cards. My opponent has Force of Will, Force of Negation, Baleful Strix, Hymn to Turok. They have a really good deck. Opponent activates Shelldock, casts Ancestral, so they're digging for an answer. 4 mana, Chupacabra, kills the Spirit. Okay, we untap, draw Lingering Souls, cast Souls, equip the Wolf. Doing this in this order so Daze doesn't do anything here. Go to combat. We're going to force them to block. It's good to know that we've gotten rid of 2 of our opponent's free counterspells and the hard free counterspells. Okay, opponent chumps. Pass the turn. We're going to make them try and answer the board. If they do have another Wrath, that's fine. We'll spend the turn flashing back Lingering Souls. If they tap out completely, I'll be really tempted to Armageddon. Opponent plays Ancestral Visions, then metamorphs a Spirit. It is an artifact creature, so I could actually Relic Warder that. We draw Stoneforge. Let's try the Relic Warder plan. The game is over. Nice. We still had a Stoneforge and an Armageddon in our pocket, too. That's pretty sick. Alright, I'll see you guys in round 2. Alrighty, welcome back to round 2, everybody. I am going to keep this. I mean, we're probably going to lead on Thalia, maybe in the Confidant. Opponent leads on an island, plays a Mana Vault. We draw a Swamp, play Flooded Strand, pass the turn. Not sure how useful Thalia is going to be now. Opponent untaps. They play a Misty. They crack Misty. If I'm getting briberied, I am going to crack Flooded Strand in response immediately because they could get Opposition Agent, and that would throw me off of my current curve. Taiga. Just a big ol' pile of ramp. I'm going to go for Godless Shrine. Tapped. Gilded Lotus resolves. I would really like to draw Leonin Relic Warder. That would actually be an excellent top deck here. Then opponent charts a course. So it looks like our tax plan right now. Not too much actual taxes going on. If we could get Relic Warder and take out Gilded Lotus, that way our opponent would not be able to untap Mana Vault. Then our taxes might actually take some effect. This is a pretty good turn too, though. They ditch Skyclave Apparition and they Mystical Tutor for a Mind Twist. Alright. Leon and Relic Warder off the top one time. Bitter Blossom! So my opponent can Mind Twist probably X5. So I'll play a Plains. And I should probably play out Confidant. In all seriousness. If they're going to try and empty my hand, I want to refill it immediately. Okay, opponent is untapping Mana Vault. Interesting. Then Swords, Dark Confidant. That's pretty good. They play an island. We untap. We draw Monastery Mentor. So they're still looking to Mind Twist. And they'll be able to do it for however many cards in hand, regardless of what we play. So, unfortunately, we cannot double spell. I'm going to play a Swamp. We've got about 6 options. Well, really 5, because we're not casting Lingering Souls. We're fine just dumping that, still getting value out of it. I'm So we can play out Mentor, and then when we get Mind Twisted, Lingering Souls will give us a token, and we get a little extra value that way. We can play Bitter Blossom, which in theory our opponent can't do much about, and then we just start building up a clock and trying to beat them down. We can play out Hollowblade, but that doesn't do a whole lot either, because we're not going to have cards to discard. I think we play out Mentor. It's easier for our opponent to answer, but I think is technically a faster clock than Bitter Blossom, but Bitter Blossom extends further into the late game. So I'm going to try Mentor here. Like, if they just have, like, Remand and then untap Mind Twist, we are screwed. But sometimes it'd be like that. The fact that this spell is putting my opponent in the tank is very scary to me. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps. They do not have to pay for Mana Vault. Here comes the old Mind Twist for a lot. Mind Twist X6. We have 5 cards in hand, that's fine. Really hoping my opponent does not have removal for Mentor. But I mean, like, if we flashback Lingering Souls, or we happen to draw a sword, that could matter a lot. So play a Plains. Flashback Lingering Souls. Prowess trigger. Make a token. Make some guys. Go to combat. Hit them for 3. I honestly think my opponent should have Mind Twisted 1 turn earlier. And left us with 1 card in hand, as opposed to tried to wait until they could Mind Twist our entire hand. Sower of Temptation. That is an insanely good follow-up. Okay, yeah. So we need to draw, like, Stoneforge Mystic or Sword of something and other. That is not any of those things. Play a Plains. Pass the turn. Alright, things are not looking good here. I should have cast Bitter Blossom. That is what I should have done. So opponent untaps Mana Vault. Man, both decks we've played against have been way more broken. Opponent Spellseekers. For Remand. Opponent attacks us for 1. You know what? Sure. I'll trade. We untap. We draw Stoneforge. Play Stoneforge. This should get remanded. Yep. Okay, they get a monk. They get some prowess triggers. We get to replay Stoneforge Mystic. And then we're going to go get Sword of... I guess Body and Mind will kill them faster. Fire and Ice might protect us from more and still be good. Let's do Fire and Ice. Pass the turn. No attacks. Opponent untapping Mana Vault. They play a Coalition Relic. They get a Prowess trigger. Well, multiple Prowess triggers, that is. They go to combat. They attack for a lot. We're not blocking any of it. Go to 14. Opponent plays a Steam Vents tapped. We untap. Draw Rishadan Port. Play Port. Put Sword into play. I'm not sure if they could have a free counter spell, but I'm not going to take chances. Equip Sword. Opponent charging up Coalition Relic. Go to combat. Attack for 3. We connect, so we shoot Sower. Draw a card. Get back Monastery Mentor. Play Legion's Landing. Get some tokens. And just like that, we are back in this game. And maybe getting Sword of Body and Mind was faster to just kill them, but my concern there is they have like an Emrakul, and we're not going to mill them out. They're just going to make a million tokens off their own Mentor that they stole from us. They play a Night's Whisper. 5/6 mana. Omnath, Locus of Creation. Yeah, opponent's deck is pretty crazy. They play a land, they gain life. Playing a real big thing. It's Karn. Why is it Karn? Alright, there goes our sword. Yep, there goes the sword. We untap. Oh, they're attacking us for 6. Chump with a life-linking token. Untap. We draw Scrubland. Go to combat. Everybody at Karn. Transform Legion's Landing. Yep, that sucks. That's the only way we could do that. I guess if I had kept that token and not blocked, I could have potentially... I could have not attacked with Monastery Mentor there, but I don't think about doing math. So, opponent untapping Mana Vault. Port steam vents after the fact. Alright. It's not like that did anything, but might as well, right? Maybe they needed that 4th blue mana to cast Demi-Lich. I don't know if that's even in this format. It might be. They tend to add random weird jank mythics from Standard into Vintage Q. Scarab God! And the mana to animate any of our guys. Opponent attacks. Make a token. Block Omnath. Take 1. Go to 11. We untap. Draw planes, which is not really what you want to be drawing at this point of the game. Play planes, pass the turn. I guess I should start holding lands in hand because I do have Armageddon, but if I cast Armageddon, I think I'm dead. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to go to the next game because my opponent's going to reanimate like 9 things. Okay. Do I want Feast and Famine in this matchup? Probably. I don't know what it's better than. If I don't know what it's better than, I probably should just run it back. I could play Linvala as well to stop Scarab God activations, I guess, but it seems pretty niche. Alright, we'll play first. Alright, it's not amazing, but we will keep it. Lead on Flooded Strand, pass the turn. Just in case of a Wasteland or a Strip Mine or anything like that. Best top deck would be either Thalia or Chrome Mox, I think. Leon and Relic Warder would not be bad for previously mentioned reasons. They lead on Stirring Wildwood. Don't really want to draw land, so I'm going to fetch Prior. We draw Seasoned Hollowblade. So, play Swamp, play Stoneforge. We're going to go get Batterskull, I think. Pass the turn. Opponent plays an island, plays a Mana Crypt, plays a Spellseeker, probably to go get swords. Yep. Opponent's deck is really good. They have Mox, Mana Crypt. Oh, man. We draw Armageddon. So, Shock Godless Shrine. Play Vryn Wingmare. Pass the turn. Opponent, Mana Crypt. They win the flip. They play a Badlands. Do a hard-cast Shriekmaw. Good lord. Opponent's deck has all of the rampant fixing, and so, like, anything they play is just going to be good. I'm actually gonna play out Sword of Fire and Ice this turn. Because next turn I want to play something like Seasoned Hollowblade and equip it. If I can, like, Relic Warder their ramp away and then cast Armageddon, maybe I can get somewhere this game, but... Never mind. Opponent has Mind Twist. Yep. Draw Swamp. Well, it makes most of our creatures good top decks. Pass the turn. Opponent Mana Crypt. Finally loses a flip. They play a Misty... Oh, maybe I was supposed to Relic Warder the Mana Crypt. I don't know. They hit us for 4. We go to 9. Untap. We draw Opposition Agent. Alright, pass the turn. Flash in Opposition Agent. We're going to open ourselves up to sorcery speed removal. You're kidding. Hardcast Force? Mystic Con... Okay, yeah. There's no universe where I beat my opponent. That deck is crazy. Absolutely absurd. I think our deck actually can get to a higher power level than that deck. If we have, like, on-color white and black Mox, and we can, like, frequently play Thalia on turn 1, but, like, what I'm saying is our archetype can get stronger than that, but we don't have that deck right now. That was nuts. I'll see you guys in round 3. Alright, round 3. It's a turn 1 Kitesail freebooter. I'm okay with this. I'll keep. Question is, what am I pitching to Chrome Mox to do that? Let's go get Scrubland. Play Chrome Mox, so I don't... Well, I guess I can't get dazed. Man, I think I have to pitch Armageddon. Play Freebooter. Go Freebootin'. Opponent's got Upheaval, Lion's Eye Diamond, Thirst for Knowledge, and Commit to Memory. I guess I'm taking Commit to Memory because I don't want my opponent to just ditch their whole hand to Lion's Eye Diamond and then wheel. Okay, opponent plays an island. They appear to be Storm. We draw Marsh Flats, play a Swamp, go to combat, and I'm going to leave up Opposition Agent this turn. Fire and Ice might be the better play, but I suspect if my opponent draws a fetch land, we're going to really get him. Or if they cast like a Demonic Tutor or something. There's that Polluted Delta. We untap, draw Thalia, play Marsh Flats, go to combat. Give him the old Opposition Agent. Give me that land. Take that swamp. Game over. Seems good. Seems fair. Absolutely balanced. as all things should be. Yeah, run it back. Alright. Game 2 of round 3. Almost, but a mulligan. Almost. Well, we're on the draw. I'm gonna keep this. I've got a feeling if we can get to Thalia, we're gonna be golden. Okay, Mana Crypt. Signet. Oath of Druids. Interesting. We untap. We draw Godless Shrine. So, play Godless Shrine tapped. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps. Mana Crypt. They win the flip. So my current plan is to Relic Warder hit Oath. They play an Everflowing Chalice. Kicked once. Then they Impulse. If that doesn't work, or my opponent somehow gets an Oath trigger off for Ulamog, we have Solitude. Alright, opponent passes. We untap. Draw Tithe Taker. Play a land. Play Relic Warder. Exile Oath. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps. Mana Crypt. Nothing. Okay, there's probably casting a wheel of some kind or something. Tezzeret the Seeker. That is a lot of mana. So opponent is... Oh, they're going to do something with Tezzeret. They untap Simic Signet and Mana Crypt, and are now passing. We untap. We draw Dark Confidant. Go to combat. Kill Tezzeret. Oh, hit Tezzeret, not kill him. I wish we could kill him. Play Bob. Pass the turn. Opponent wins their Mana Crypt flip. They tap. Oh no. Then untap. Fact or fiction? You can have Tolarian Academy or 4 lands. I mean, at least it wasn't a very difficult split, I guess. They're going to take the 4 lands, because why wouldn't you, right? They play a swamp. I guess I should have put swamp in its own pile to keep them off of a color of mana they didn't have. We untap. Bob flip. Bone Shredder. Draw Sword of Body and Mind. Go to combat. Attack Tezzeret. Attack Tezzeret. Tezzeret down. Play Thalia. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps. Mana Crypt. They finally lose a flip. They play an island. And they are passing. We untap. Dark Confidant. Monastery Mentor. We draw Rishadan Port. Play it. Play Legion's Landing. Make a token. Go to combat. Swing out. Flip landing. Opponent takes 6. And goes to 11. We play Tithe Taker. Pass the turn. We've still got that Solitude, just in case our opponent Ulamogs us. They lose their Mana Crypt flip. They play an island. Here comes Grim Monolith. Alright. All ramp and no bombs makes crazier 15 a losing Magic player. I don't know. I'm sorry, man. Sometimes it's like that, though. Frequently, decks in Vintage Cube, if you have a single gimmick, like if you're playing Oath or you're playing Storm. Now, they are playing Draw 7s, and I think my opponent got unlucky by not drawing any of them. But they kept a hand that was all in on Oath, and we got lucky and just Relic Wardered it. And then it was like, what are you going to do? Because we kept a 1-lander and top-decked all the mana we need. So we got lucky, and our opponent got unlucky. There was nothing about that game that was skill on my part at all. So, all right, well... hope you guys enjoyed this Vintage Cube. If you did, please leave a like, drop a comment, subscribe to the channel if you're so inclined, and remember you can follow me on Twitch. Same username over there as you find me on here. I stream Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Mountain Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, though the last few have been earlier. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye! Hey, just wanted to give a shout out to my patrons for the month of July. You guys are awesome. I really appreciate your support. And if you want to have your guys' names show up in this list, there's a link to my Patreon in the description down below. Thank you all so much.